Hi everyone, good morning. So for this part of the program, I would like to envision it a little bit as a link between what we presented and introduced yesterday, between the manifesto and as well as what we will be discussing in the later panel discussion and the rest of the day. So the day is built a little bit as a building block. For today, we will gather a little bit the inputs, for this session, the inputs we just discussed, so you get a more 360 overview of the project, what we've been doing with the TCZ methodology and trainings, and then we will unpack them later with the panel discussion, the cafe, and the structural change at the end. So indeed, I promise I have 3 key points for you. The first one is just understanding a little bit more what is TCZ. I think we tackled it from very different perspectives, the policy one, the methodology one, most importantly, the Erasmus+, the adult education one. But concretely, what we did in these 2 years is develop the methodology, trainings and pilots, and quite a lot of outputs that, as Marie mentioned, they're available now, so we will get a sneak peek of them. And then the burning question of sustainability, what happens to the project? Because this is the final event, the project is wrapping up this year, so what do we set out to do in the next years? Concretely, we have the recommendations, but we have also other activities in store. Can you see? I'm going to slightly turn my back to you, and then I'll get back to you, I promise. So, in terms of relevance of objectives, the program Training for the Contact Zone exists within the Erasmus+, more specifically within the adult education sector, meaning that it aims at experts. Merci. Oh, it's okay, you can look at me. Meaning that it addresses at experts, perfect, experts, volunteers, professionals, but also people that are in that scary phase of looking for a job that might be difficult due to external circumstances, social circumstances, or economical one. And these people we address the people in the museum and the heritage sectors. So as you see, is indeed enhancing capacity of the institution, community center, cultural organization, and be more representative of current European societies in the plural sense, in the multivocal sense, just like as we announced yesterday. And as the keywords that were introduced since the beginning of the project, the overall idea is indeed to strengthen cultural democracy through cultural practices, through the TCZ methodology and training formats to be available to all of you. As identified just in the session before, one of the main challenges that the project faced, that our sector or like our individual organization face, is the civic pressure in the local realities. Although we do face the same challenge, the same obstacle, that doesn't mean that it's a unified one. It is very important that we understand what are the needs at a local context. It could be national, regional, but even organizational one. And to be on the bright side, these challenges brought quite a few opportunities. One of them was indeed to develop this TCZ methodology in the plural sense because it's adaptable. It needs to be adaptable because that is the only way to address these changes there are constantly, these needs that are constantly changing, as well as urgencies, because we have learned that from a coordination point of view, there's always something coming because it reflects the reality we're in. We cannot separate our professional background from what is going on in our realities, which leads us also to have concrete demands to the sector. So the 7th recommendation we had, but it's not just demands, it's also accountability. Accountability for us doing the work, but also who can help us fund it, who does the training, who receives it. Which brings us to the TCZ responsibility, that is indeed to implement a new form of activities, namely the trainings, that can enhance this cultural belonging, which is quite of a concept to unpack in terms of culture, what it means for us, and the belonging in European society. But concretely is indeed to foster the skills to develop and implement dialogue-based and creative process that all happen in these intentional spaces called contact zones. So this was more for the background and tying up the little pieces that we had so far. But now we get into more the exciting part. So we welcome the day with acknowledging our consortium, our partners, and then if you scan around the room, you will see posters. As Marie introduced to us, we had a first pilot phase in which we tested the curriculum, one of the main outputs of the TCZ methodology. This pilot phase happened in the last quarter of 2025. We started in Amsterdam, where we addressed the legacy of Dutch colonialism in terms of narrative and memories. What is the effect now on the communities, which we can unpack later today in the last session. We proceeded then with Romania, with our Goethe Institute partner. Maria Mora is here in the room, so feel free to ask questions. And which focused more on the misrepresentation of the Roman community. So, first of all, which language do you use? What kind of words do you use? And what it means to have this community be silenced and just be subject to multiple stereotypes in cultural organization, in museums, in your daily life. And the last pilot was led by Vittoria, by Conexioni Improbables, and I did it correctly now. Sorry, I had 3 presentations about this project. Every time I got the name wrong, but we succeeded for the final one. So please address Roberto. And it was a very interesting pilot as it moved through 3 lenses, past, present, and futures, unpacking memory that are still some open wounds in the city, but also in the region at large. And I must say I'm just very proud because as coordinator I had the chance to follow the 3 of them. We traveled and it was just an amazing experience, and it was wonderful to see how the methodology was adapted and changed, but this will be addressed later with the session with Adi, which her organization at Kenya was the first to organize a training in this January. It was a 5 days training, which we will explore later, but it really focused on the idea of multivocality in different spaces, more in heritage spaces, museums, which brings also the question of what it means to have this type of conversation in a city like Hania in Crete. We proceeded then with Budapest, with the Human Platform. You just met the team here on the stage. And here it was very tied to the Hungarian context. I must say it was quite a timely moment around and after the elections. So it really was addressing the issues of equality, exclusion, power relations that I've been living, that the organizer and the participants have been living with quite a few years, but also now had the chance to see how that has evolved, hopefully for a stable memory. And then last but not least, we had the last training in Porto with Pale. You had the exercise this morning, so please address Karina or Fernando or Fausto. He could be a TCZ ambassador. And really here was about the question institutional narratives. And as you had a sneak peek this morning, their practices are very much on democratic and participatory methodology. So really working with the embodied experience and what does a political body feel in a contact zone. But the project goes on. So we concluded the training, we did the outputs, we did the testing, but now we are in the phase that hopefully is the one that going onwards, which is the synergy events. We organize one at H1, and now I'm going to put one of our participants. She attended the synergy event, so I'm not going to put you on the stage, don't worry. But also, ETSKAIM and Goethe Institute already proceeded with organizing these complementary events, which is a bit reductive, I must say, to say complementary, and I know I chose the word. It's simply, we're bringing forward the project. We know what is working, what needs more adaptation, but most importantly, we are in the space and time in which we can let the other partner, the other organization, the community tell us what they need most, and we really cooperate and create this new part of the project that we refer as synergy events. And now to the fun part. It's all the outputs that indeed are available on our website. So as a project that works within Erasmus+, adult education, it was key for us to make sure the materials were accessible. We will dive later in terms of language. What does it mean to be accessible in terms of language at the European level as well? But what we have for sure is that they're open access. They are all available on our website. They're free for you to use, question, translate. We know the importance of translating material. But mostly there are 6 resources, hardcore resources, I would say, that you can find on the website. The first would be the curriculum. So this modular document that deals on how to create, shape, or implement contact zones, tackling different aspects that could be cultural democracy, memory narrative, or evaluation. Then we have the syllabus. I do enjoy a good curriculum, but it is a bit long. So although the modular structure, it might be a bit intimidating, although very pleasant to read. So the syllabus has been made for you to tackle the curriculum highlights. So you will see the modules, the key questions, the key learnings. But most importantly, it helps you to unpack the whole training, because it's in the syllabus where you will find the European qualification frameworks, meaning depending on the stage you are in your career, in your development, what can you get out of this training? More concretely, what would be the life learning competencies that you will get out of each module? So the suggestion would be sit with the curriculum, understand what you would get, the syllabus, and then that helps you unpack the curriculum. The toolkit instead was meant to apply the TCZ methodology in virtual and hybrid spaces. So shout out to Reese, who's doing the online moderation. The toolkit is for you, although I think he's very prepared. And this reads more as a guide, but we keep the structure of adaptability. So you will find in most of our outputs adaptation session, exercise, and key questions that you can share with your participant, and the participant can ask you, of course. Behind my back and my beautiful vest, you will find the training material, which is a unification of the curriculum, the syllabus, and the material that each partner developed during the pilot and the training. So we're a bit of a hoarding in the project, in the sense that no material is wasted, is reused, and shaped in a way that can be really understood by the future applicants. And all of this is on the website, but we mentioned a few times we are an adult education project, meaning that we really focus on education, and that's done via Moodle. So thank you to our Goethe Institute partner who set up the platform. If you go on our website, you will find a Moodle channel for each partner. So that means that you can have a deep dive into what has been done in the training, maybe what has been updated, and there's a way also to communicate with other people. So different people from different countries can follow the same course at their own pace and their own time. And finally, the manifesto, which we just presented, so I won't do injustice by additioning more. And we don't have only written documents, I promise, for you, because there was, I can imagine, a lot. TCZ is made to be engaged at different levels. So levels of engagement and accessibility varies depending on the time, the availability, and the resources that you have at the moment. So if on one hand you have the more practical outputs on how to lead the trainings, on our website we have also our digital library. So in this reverse L-shaped, you will find an insight about the trainings. So top right is an after movie of the pilot phase that we did. So you will find interviews and snapshots from the pilots in Vitoria, Amsterdam, and in Bucharest. On the bottom, on the left, you will find the after movie of the human platform, the Budapest training, and on the right is the one from Pale. So these are around 5-10 minutes video that you can just get a glimpse of what was done and then decide to further maybe continue with the training. And just like as this conference is live streamed, the first one is also available on our website. So you can just watch it back on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and understand also how much the project has evolved, how the needs have changed, and how they've been hopefully satisfied. And the last one, I promise, is also for you to interact on a more easier level. So we're developing now a series of podcasts. Some of them already been uploaded on the H41 YouTube. That is the Training for the Contact Zone playlist. This is a bit of a different angle. So we heard a lot about the pilot, the trainings on the material. This is for you to understand how the organization dealt with it. The organization, but also the regional and local context. So for now, we have uploaded the H41 one, the Conexiones Improbables. You will see the H41, there's Minal. She was one of the trainers. She was first part of the community of practice, so the evaluation of the material. And then she was a trainer for one of our synergy events. And on the bottom, you have Lucas and Alex, respectively a member of the Conexiones Improbables team and the trainer. And last but not least, you saw the poster about the Training for the Contact Zone map. This is for you to have a look and just leave your experience. What is your contact zone story that you would like to share? And it's just wonderful to see how it's growing with the participants, with the members' experiences, and now I hope it will be a space for you. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for staying with the project. I think we have a little break now, if you don't have burning questions, which can be tackled also later. I understand the need for coffee.